Journalist says Spurs would have to pay silly money to sign 25-year-old. Welcome back to Tottenham News Today channel. Before we dive into this transfer update, be sure to press that subscribe button and keep up with all the latest news. Sky Sports reporter Dharmesh Sheth says Tottenham would have to pay a mammoth fee if they want to land Eberechi Eze from Crystal Palace at this stage of the transfer window. Eze has been heavily linked with a move away from Selhurst Park all summer, with Tottenham named as one of the clubs keen on the attacking midfielder. More recently, Manchester City have also been credited with an interest in the 25-year-old, with Pep Guardiola alleged to be a big fan of the player. However, either club's chances of securing the England international appear slim after it emerged earlier this week that the £60 million release clause in the player's contract had expired. Crystal Palace do not want to sell Eberechi Eze. That means any interested club would have to negotiate a deal with Palace, with Sheth now revealing that the Eagles have no intention of losing another key player this summer after letting Michael Olise and Joachim Andersen go. When asked about Tottenham's interest in Eze, the journalist told Last Word on Spurs, "It certainly looks that way. Crystal Palace don't want to lose yet another player. We have seen Olise go and the Gay-High deal won't go away. Joachim Andersen is on his way to Fulham." One thing in Palace's favour now is that they hold the cards more than they did last week. That's because of the release clause. It has expired. If someone comes in with silly money, they would have to consider that because they're Crystal Palace. I suspect Ange primarily wanted Eberechi Eze for the central role, potentially as a player who can offer competition to Maddison and perhaps even operate as a number 8, in addition to also being capable of playing out wide. However, the Tottenham boss might have changed his mind about signing the Palace star after being thoroughly impressed by Lucas Bergvall, who has shown that he is ready for a regular first-team role. Fabrizio Romano has named Tottenham as ones to watch out for in the final week of the transfer window, suggesting that the North London club might have another surprise up their sleeve. In previous transfer windows, particularly the ones in which Fabio Paratici was playing a key role in recruitment, most of Tottenham's top transfer targets for each position tended to be public knowledge. However, in sharp contrast, Spurs have acted in secrecy this summer, with the media barely catching a whiff of the club's negotiations until it gets to an advanced stage. Tottenham's capture of Wilson Odobert was particularly striking for the stealthy nature of the operation, with the Lily-Whites announcing the signing completely out of the blue, with not a single journalist or outlet reporting that the 19-year-old was a target for Ange Postecoglou's men. Romano has now pointed out that the same could happen again over the next few days, suggesting that the North London side might be ones to keep an eye on in the final days of the market. The journalist told Give Me Sport, "Look, for Tottenham, I think there is still a possibility, yes, maybe to find an opportunity. For example, a left-back could be an opportunity that they could follow in the final days of the window. Then I would keep the door open for Tottenham because they've been very good at keeping all the targets quiet this summer. So some of the deals they did were very, very silent, working in the background. The fact that Tottenham are keeping their talks under wraps suggests that Johan Lange and co are not relying on too many intermediaries in their transfer pursuits this summer. That explains why the likes of Romano and Ornstein have not been able to catch a whiff of what's going on at times. Vanderson is unlikely to face issues clearing his Tottenham medical despite knee and hip injuries last season, according to Doctor Rajpal Brar. The injury expert claims that the fact that the two injuries were at different times of the campaign, the Monaco right-back is not a high-risk signing for Spurs. This comes after L'Équipe reported the Lily-Whites are ready to submit a £25 million bid to sign the 23-year-old Brazil international. Discussing the state of play with Vanderson exclusively with Tottenham News, Rajpal Brar, a doctor in physical therapy and a sports scientist, said, "He had knee and hip injuries last season and looks like they were moderate injuries based on the time out, which was over 30 days for each." The good news is that they were at very different times of the season, so likely not knock-on effects. Wouldn't expect any red flags in his medical unless there is some outlier occurring. Spurs should sign Vanderson to enhance their defensive options and inject competition at right back. The Brazilian offers versatility, able to play as a right back or a right winger, similar to Pedro Porro, providing tactical flexibility for Ange Postecoglou. His impressive performances in League One suggest he could adapt well to the Premier League's physicality. Signing Vanderson would not only provide cover for Porro, but also potentially challenge him for the starting spot, fostering internal competition that could elevate the performance of both players. Ange Postecoglou thinks Tottenham have a special player in Micky van der Ven, admitting that it will be a huge boost for his side if the Dutchman can avoid any injuries this season. Tottenham's poor form last season coincided with Van der Ven's injury, which is not a coincidence as the centre-back's recovery pace is crucial to the way the Lily-Whites play. We saw evidence of that again on Saturday against Everton, with the 23-year-old mopping up long balls brilliantly, while also showcasing his ability to make marauding runs up the pitch. Van der Ven set up Tottenham's fourth goal by carrying the ball from defence to the edge of the box before playing Son Heung-min through on goal, with the South Korean squeezing the ball under Jordan Pickford to get his second of the game. Postecoglou confessed that the former Wolfsburg man and some of his other defenders are not at peak fitness yet and admitted that he will be rotating his backline this season to keep key players fit throughout the campaign. When asked about Van der Ven, the Tottenham boss said after the win over Everton, "Outstanding. He's a pretty special footballer. Last year when we had that back four up and running, we were a pretty compelling team, but we also know we can't just keep putting them out there. With Romero, Micky and Destiny, they're not at peak fitness at the moment, and they all sort of missed pre-season. So we knew sort of this 2 or 3 weeks, we saw it last week about the 60-minute mark. They really started to fatigue, and we've just got to be really careful with them. But if we can get through the international break, then once the midweek games start, we can start rotating a little bit and, because we need them at the peak of their performance because when they're like that, they're outstanding footballers." Ange Postecoglou has insisted that he has no concerns over Dominic Solanke, remarking that the striker showed enough in his performance against Leicester to prove that he is a good fit for Tottenham's system. Solanke might have been hoping to get off the mark for Spurs in their first home game of the season, but he was denied that opportunity, having picked up an injury ahead of the clash against Everton. However, Postecoglou has revealed that the 26-year-old has a chance to be back in time for Tottenham's trip to St James's Park next Sunday. The Spurs head coach said about the striker's injury, "It's not serious enough to keep him out for 5 weeks. He's still got a chance for the Newcastle game. That's the extent of it. It's just about how quickly he recovers." It might not be the ideal way for Solanke to start his Spurs career, and some pundits such as Jamie Carragher and Paul Scholes have already suggested that the pressure of the big price tag and playing for a club of Tottenham's stature might get to him. However, Postecoglou does not share those concerns, confidently asserting that he expects the former Cherry star to enjoy plenty of success leading the line for his side. The Australian continued, "Every story is written differently. They're not all fairy tales where you come and make your debut and score a hat-trick. He was very good for us at Leicester, and we're disappointed because it was really exciting to see that he is going to fit in really well with what we're doing. I have no doubt about that. It's just a small hiccup. He misses a game or two. It's game 1 of 50-plus games. He'll have plenty of opportunities to recover from that. For me, the exciting bit was just watching him in the team last week. I can just tell he's going to be a really good fit." When asked if he put an arm around Solanke's shoulder after his disappointing outing against the Foxes, Postecoglou responded with a grin. "You know I'm not that type, mate. He's a big man and I have always said this to footballers. Nothing runs smoothly. And think of the poor old manager. Forget the player. What about me? I've just lost my key striker a week and a half after buying him. I need an arm around me. No, it's all good. We didn't sign Dom for 1 match, and he knows that. He's here hopefully for a long time to have a real impact at this club and bring success to it. I was excited with what we saw last week, and this is just a small bump in the road. I'm sure he will be looking forward to getting back out there." That's all for today's update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay in the loop with all things Tottenham, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications on our latest content. Don't forget to like this video and share it with fellow Spurs supporters. Let's grow our Tottenham News Today community together. Thanks for watching, and as always, come on you Spurs.